Hello, and welcome to this lesson on reducing, reusing, and recycling materials. Today, we will understand what reducing, reusing, and recycling involve, and recognize the benefits of each, and learn the differences between recyclable and reusable materials, and take a closer look at recycling metals as an example. These practices are essential to conserving resources, reducing waste, and ensuring a more sustainable future. Let's get started. Starting off with reducing. Reducing the use of materials means consciously minimizing the amount of resources we consume. This practice can bring several key benefits such as conserving resources. By using fewer materials, we reduce the demand for raw materials, which helps to conserve finite resources like minerals, metals, and fossil fuels. For example, if a household decides to stop buying single-use plastic water bottles and instead uses a refillable bottle, it significantly decreases the amount of plastic consumed. Another benefit is energy savings. Manufacturing products requires a large amount of energy, from raw material extraction to production. By reducing the need for new products, we also reduce the energy used in these processes. For instance, avoiding single-use plastic bottles means that energy is saved at every stage, from extraction of oil to transportation and manufacturing, thus lowering overall energy consumption and reducing the household's carbon footprint. Finally, there is less waste. Using less means that we generate less waste, which is important for reducing the strain on landfills and preventing environmental pollution. Going back to the plastic water bottle example, reducing usage means fewer bottles end up in landfills or in natural environments where they could take hundreds of years to decompose and cause contamination. Moving on to reuse of materials. Reusing materials involves finding new ways to use items instead of throwing them away. This practice extends the life of products and provides several significant benefits. Extended product life. By reusing items, we extend their usefulness and delay the need to produce new ones. For example, using a reusable water bottle instead of buying disposable plastic bottles keeps the product in use for much longer, reducing waste. Another benefit is that it is cost-effective. Reusing is often more economical. For both individuals and businesses, it can save costs that would otherwise go towards purchasing new items. A great example is reusing packaging materials for shipping, which can help businesses cut down on expenses. There are also environmental benefits. Reusing items means less waste ends up in landfills, and it also reduces the environmental impact of producing new goods. For example, donating or selling used clothes keeps textiles out of landfills, where they would otherwise decompose and release methane, a potent greenhouse gas. Reusing clothing also reduces the demand for new fabric production, conserving resources like water and energy. Finally, we have recycling of materials. Recycling is the process of transforming waste materials into new products. This helps conserve resources and reduce environmental impacts. Looking at the benefits, we have resource efficiency. Recycling reduces the need to extract new raw materials, thereby conserving natural resources. For instance, recycling aluminium cans prevents the need for new aluminium extraction, which requires mining and refining. Another benefit is energy efficiency. Recycling uses significantly less energy compared to manufacturing products from new raw materials. For example, recycling paper uses much less energy and water than producing new paper from trees. This results in lower greenhouse gas emissions. There is also waste reduction. Recycling also means diverting waste from landfills, conserving space, and reducing the risk of pollution. Recycling plastic, for instance, reduces the amount of plastic that ends up polluting land and oceans, which helps protect wildlife and marine environments. Finally, promoting sustainability. Recycling encourages a circular economy, a system in which materials are reused and repurposed rather than being discarded. This contrasts with the traditional linear economy of take, make, dispose, which is wasteful and unsustainable. By recycling, we help keep valuable materials in use, reducing the need for new raw materials and helping ensure sustainable resource use. Now looking at reusable versus recyclable materials. Not all materials are suitable for both reusing and recycling. Some items are better designed for repeated use, while others are better suited for recycling after a single use. Starting with reusable materials. Reusable products are designed to be used multiple times before they are eventually discarded or recycled. They are usually more durable and can be cleaned and maintained for prolonged use. A good example is a glass bottle. It can be refilled and reused many times, making it a more sustainable option compared to single-use plastic bottles. Moving on to recyclable materials. Recyclable materials are those that can be collected, processed, and turned into new products. They are typically used once before they undergo recycling. Examples include paper, plastic, and metals. These materials go through several stages, such as sorting, melting, and reprocessing, to be transformed into new products. Consider the recycling of metals. Metals like aluminum or steel are sorted by type, melted down, and then cast into new shapes to be used again, preserving resources and reducing environmental impact. Let's talk about the origins of reduce, reuse, recycle. Now, you might think recycling is a modern idea, but it's actually been around for a very long time, since the Paleolithic era, in fact. Back then, people repurposed old tools, like hand axes, into smaller flint tools. They even reused animal parts like horns and bladders for carrying water. Fast forward to after the Second World War, with an economic boom came an increase in rubbish. In the 1950s, the invention of polyethylene made it easier to produce single-use items, which led to a rise in disposable products. But by the 1960s and 70s, during the Vietnam War, people began noticing the environmental damage caused by pollution, waste, and resource depletion. Water quality was also declining, and this sparked growing concern about protecting the planet. In 1970, Senator Gaylord Nelson from Wisconsin took action by creating the first ever National Earth Day to raise awareness about environmental protection. This led to the establishment of the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, later that year. Then, in 1976, after the Vietnam War, Congress passed the Resource Recovery Act. This law emphasized recycling, recovering resources, and even converting waste into energy, essentially the foundation for reduce, reuse, recycle. This movement laid the groundwork for modern sustainability practices. Today, we think about the entire life cycle of a product, from its production to its disposal, to better understand and minimize its environmental impact. And that's how the idea of reduce, reuse, recycle evolved into what we know today. In today's lesson, we explored the benefits of reducing, reusing, and recycling materials, and learned about the differences between reusable and recyclable materials. We also looked at recycling metals as an example of how recycling can help conserve resources and reduce environmental impacts. By embracing these practices, we can help achieve significant resource conservation, energy savings, and waste reduction, which will benefit both the environment and society. Watch the rest of the GCSE chemistry course at Sophos Education.